Charity sat in her car, hands trembling over the steering wheel. She had never felt so alone. The paternity test sat in her pocket like a ticking bomb. Her mind raced. Sarah and Jacob are celebrating a baby they think is theirs, but the truth is hers. Ross had convinced her to check the results, and now the weight of her guilt was unbearable. Inside the village, Mac had arranged a romantic surprise, thinking Charity needed a distraction. But nothing could distract her from the storm inside. Chess, spotting Charity wandering alone in the woolpack, frowned. Something was off. When Charity finally confessed the truth, Chaz was stunned. The baby Sarah and Jacob expected belonged to Charity and Ross. "You have to tell them," Chaz urged. "They deserve to know before it's too late." Charity shook her head, tears streaming. Instead, she secretly booked an abortion, determined to face the nightmare alone. But as Sarah gleamed with excitement, handing Charity a memory box filled with letters and ultrasound scans, the room seemed to close in. Could she go through with it? Or would the truth explode at the worst possible moment? April's dangerous decision. Meanwhile, April's world was collapsing. Her family had no idea how deep she had gone into Rye's drug empire. Rona had almost lost a brother because of her reckless decision to hand him pills. Her parents debated endlessly. Should she move out or stay under their roof? Maron hesitated, fearing isolation would push her further into danger. April insisted on staying with friends to ease tensions, but Bob intervened. "No, you're moving into the B&B, he said firmly. Relief washed over April at least, for now. But danger was never far behind. The following day, Rona and Moira's whispered fears were interrupted by Celia, who supported keeping April at a distance. Little did they know, the danger from Rye's empire was closing in fast, and one misstep could be fatal. Gabby and Vinnie's marriage in crisis. Gabby had lost her father figure long ago, and now she turned to Charles for guidance. Inviting him to the house felt strange, but she needed someone impartial. Vinnie resisted at first, closed off as the memories of his past abuse surfaced. But eventually he opened up. Charles reminded them of the love they shared, and for the first time in weeks, the mood lifted. Hope flickered, fragile but present. Yet the shadow of doubt never strays far. Lewis had noticed the cracks. When he approached Vinnie at the cafe, offering support, the gesture was innocent, but Gabby misread it. Seeing Vinnie and Lewis's closeness, suspicion crept in, threatening to destroy the fragile progress they had made. Could Gabby and Vinnie repair their marriage, or would secrets and miscommunication end it before it even truly began? The Kings and the Tates were on collision course again. Jimmy's flooding of the house forced the family into Laurel's care. Tensions grew as Carl and Lucas clashed at school. Nicola refused to allow Tate drama near her kids, but the police arrival escalated everything. A simmering feud threatened to boil over at any moment, and everyone in Emmerdale could feel the shockwaves. Vinnie paced the courthouse hallway, heart hammering in his chest. Today was the day he would testify against Mike, the man who had haunted his past. His palms were sweaty, doubts gnawing at him. Gabby arrived just in time, her expression a mix of concern and frustration. "You have to do this, Vinnie," she said, gripping his arm. "For yourself, for us." But inside, Vinnie wavered. The courtroom was a battlefield, and every word could shatter the fragile foundation of their marriage. Memories of his one-night stand before the wedding loomed over him like a shadow, and the image of Gabby standing there with Charles by her side brought both comfort and guilt. He took a deep breath and walked in. As he testified, his voice trembled, revealing layers of confusion about his past, his sexuality, and the trauma he had endured. Gabby's eyes softened, but the tension between them was palpable. Every word, every glance, hinted at truths neither was ready to confront fully. The criminal spiral. Outside, April and Dylan were caught in Rye Walter's web. The teens had been dragged into the drug empire, thinking they could navigate the danger, but danger has a way of finding you. April's latest mistake had been catastrophic. A stash lost to a knife-wielding thief. A setup orchestrated to keep her under Rye's thumb. As she paced her bedroom, guilt gnawed at her. She had chosen Rye's dangerous job over babysitting Leo, and now the child was rushed to the hospital. Dylan tried to calm her, but April's resolve was firm. She wanted out. Yet Rye had overheard everything. Hidden in the shadows, he smiled coldly. The teen's confessions were no longer private. They were leverage. One wrong move, and their lives would be over. Charity's secret approaches. Breaking point. Back in the village, Charity's secret was teetering on the edge. The abortion appointment loomed, but her conscience refused to stay silent. Chaz's advice haunted her. You can't fix this by hiding. Her hands shook as she opened the memory box Sarah had given her. Each ultrasound, each note from the couple, felt like a knife twisting in her chest. Could she bear the guilt if she went through with it alone? Or would confession destroy her marriage, her friendships, and her place in the village forever? Then, an unexpected knock at the door made her freeze. Standing there was Ross, his eyes unreadable. "Charity, we need to talk about," he said. And just like that, everything teetered on the edge of collapse. Gabby's crisis of trust. Meanwhile, Gabby struggled to reconcile her emotions. Seeing Vinnie with Lewis had shaken her, even if nothing untoward had occurred. The slightest slip could send her into panic. Back home, Gabby turned to Charles, seeking advice. "I don't know if I can trust him or myself," she admitted, tears brimming. Charles placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Love isn't easy, but honesty is the only way forward." Vinnie, unaware of Gabby's inner turmoil, tried to stay positive, but with secrets and miscommunications piling up, even the smallest misunderstandings could spark chaos. Tensions between the Kings and the Tates escalated when Carl confronted Lucas at school. The arguments spiraled, drawing in parents, neighbors, and eventually the police. Nicola, desperate to protect her children, threatened to take drastic action if any Tate interference continued. The village felt the tension like a storm brewing. Even minor interactions carried the risk of igniting full-blown conflict. Every resident, innocent or guilty, was now trapped in a web of escalating drama. Elsewhere, Cammy and Belle had taken their romance a step further. But with so much chaos surrounding them, the question lingered. Had they rushed in too fast? The village's constant turmoil cast shadows over every relationship. Even moments of joy carried the risk of heartbreak. Cliffhanger setup. As night fell over Emmerdale, the village seemed peaceful, deceptively so. In the shadows, Rye watched April and Dylan's movements, calculating his next strike. Charity sat in her car, tears streaking her face, the memory box beside her, and Ross waiting outside. Gabby and Vinnie faced the emotional storm of their marriage and past secrets. And in the distance, the Kings and Tates braced for the next inevitable clash. One thing was certain. Emmerdale would never be the same again. Charity's secret explodes. Charity had no idea how quickly her world was about to implode. The memory box Sarah had given her now lay open on the kitchen counter, filled with letters, sonogram photos, and hopes for the baby she wasn't supposed to have. Ross paced the room, tension written on his face. "You can't keep doing this alone, Charity," he said, voice low but firm. "You're going to hurt everyone if you keep it a secret." Before Charity could respond, the doorbell rang. It was Sarah. Her eyes sparkled with excitement, completely unaware that the secret she cherished was about to explode. Charity's hands shook as she tried to compose herself. And then the moment came. Words tumbled out faster than she could control them. "Sarah Jacob the baby. It's mine. Ross and I." Shock, betrayal, confusion, and emotions collided in the room like a storm. Sarah's face was drained of color. Jacob's hand trembled as he reached for her shoulder. The fallout was immediate. Friendships fractured, trust evaporated, and Charity realized there was no going back. The next day, Gabby and Vinnie met Charles for a private counseling session. Gabby poured her heart out, revealing the doubts that had plagued her since seeing Vinnie with Lewis. Vinnie, feeling vulnerable, admitted the confusion he had kept bottled up since the abuse, the one-night stand, and the fear of losing Gabby forever. Charles guided them through the storm, pointing out the strength in their love. For a moment, hope blossomed, but the emotional toll was heavy. Every secret confessed felt like a knife wound, yet it was the only way forward. Just when things seemed to calm, Lewis walked in with a concerned expression. The tension reignited instantly. Gabby's eyes narrowed, wondering if she had misjudged the situation or if something more dangerous was unfolding behind her back. April and Dylan. Rye's deadly game. Rye Walters had been watching. Every movement of April and Dylan had been tracked. He approached them in the shadows, his presence suffocating. "You thought you could leave." Rye's voice was a whisper, but its menace filled the alleyway. "No one walks away from me." April trembled, Dylan's fists clenched. The teens realized the only way to survive was to outsmart him. A high-stakes plan was forming, one that would either free them or destroy them. Every step was a gamble, and the clock was ticking. The village square became a battlefield. Carl and Luca's argument escalated into a public confrontation, drawing in Nicola, Jimmy, and the children. Tensions boiled over into a physical altercation, just as police sirens wailed in the distance. Nicola's face was set in determination. "I won't let Tate chaos near my family," she yelled, her voice echoing across the square. Meanwhile, Jimmy tried to mediate, but old grudges and simmering anger made peace impossible. Every villager became a spectator to a feud that had reached its peak. And in the chaos, secrets that had been buried for years began to surface, further complicating the battle. Cammy and Belle's romance faced the ultimate test. The chaos in the village, coupled with their own personal insecurities, began to weigh heavily on their relationship. A romantic gesture intended to strengthen their bond instead triggered jealousy, doubt, and fear. They stood on the bridge overlooking the river, tension thick. Belle's voice shook as she spoke. "Are we rushing into this, Cammy? I'm scared." Cammy took her hands, eyes intense. "I'm scared too, but maybe that's what makes it real." The scene ended on a cliffhanger, leaving viewers questioning if love could survive amidst so much turmoil. As night descended on Emmerdale, the village felt eerily quiet, but danger was closer than anyone suspected. Rye's shadow loomed over April and Dylan. Charity's confession had shattered relationships, and Gabby and Vinnie faced new revelations that threatened their fragile progress. Rising tensions and threats. Charity and Ross faced mounting pressure from the villagers, including Sarah and Jacob's emotional confrontations. Gabby and Vinnie's marriage hung by a thread, and Lewis' intervention hinted at deeper secrets to come. April and Dylan's plan against Rye began, but failure could be fatal. The Kings and Tates feud escalated to dangerous levels, threatening to engulf everyone nearby. Cammy and Belle's love faced tests that could either unite them or destroy them entirely. Each storyline intertwined like a web. One wrong move could ignite a domino effect, sending the village into chaos. Charity's secret goes public. Charity never imagined her secret would explode in the middle of the village. The tension that had been building finally reached its breaking point when Sarah, in a mix of confusion and betrayal, confronted her at the pub. Jacob stepped forward, disbelief etched on his face. "Charity, how could you?" Ross tried to intervene, but the damage was done. Villagers who had only just learned of Charity's duplicity began whispering, gossiping, and questioning everything. Alliances shattered. Friendships fractured. Charity's hands shook, tears streaking her cheeks. She realized that no apology could undo the pain she had caused. Every decision she had made in secret now brought consequences that rippled across the village. Gabby and Vinnie faced the culmination of their therapy sessions in a tense confrontation at home. Gabby's trust had been shaken by seeing Vinnie with Lewis, while Vinnie wrestled with guilt from his past actions and secrets. "I just can't keep pretending everything's okay," Gabby cried. "It's like there's always another secret, another lie." Vinnie's voice cracked. "I know, I've made mistakes, Gabby, but I love you. I need you to believe me, to believe we can survive this." The tension reached its peak when Lewis walked in, unintentionally triggering a misunderstanding. Gabby's suspicion flared, leaving the future of their marriage hanging in the balance. Every viewer was left wondering, could their love withstand all the secrets and betrayal? Life or death confrontation. Rye had been waiting, and April and Dylan's plan to escape his empire was risky. As they cornered him in the warehouse, the tension was suffocating. "You shouldn't have crossed me," Rye hissed, a knife glinting in his hand. Dylan stepped forward, heart pounding. "We're done running. It ends tonight." A struggle erupted. Boxes toppled, glass shattered, and a single gunshot echoed through the room. April and Dylan ducked, holding their breath, realizing that one wrong move could cost them their lives. The scene ended in near silence, leaving viewers on edge, desperate to know who would survive and who would fall. Back in the village, the feud between the Kings and Tates reached its boiling point. Carl and Luca's schoolyard rivalry escalated into a full-blown street confrontation. Nicola and Jimmy tried to mediate, but tempers flared. Police sirens wailed, but the drama continued unabated. A shocking twist occurred when a long-buried secret about the Tates came to light, throwing the entire conflict into chaos. Villagers were forced to pick sides, and nobody could predict who would come out on top or if anyone would walk away unscathed. Cammy and Belle's relationship reached a breaking point. Their love, forged quickly amid chaos, was now tested by jealousy, doubt, and the pressures of village life. Standing by the river, Belle's voice shook. "I don't know if we can do this, Cammy. Everything around us, it's too much." Cammy held her close. "We can. We have to. I believe in us." For the first time, the audience glimpsed a fragile hope, but the shadow of Emmerdale's chaos loomed over their romance. Could love survive amid the village's turmoil, or would it crumble like everything else? The village in peril night fell, and Emmerdale was tense. Charity faced the fallout of her public confession. Gabby and Vinnie's marriage teetered on the edge of collapse. April and Dylan's confrontation with Rye had left their lives hanging by a thread. The Kings and Tates feud threatened to engulf the entire village. Cammy and Belle clung to love amidst chaos. And in the shadows, an unknown figure watched. Revenge, secrets, and betrayal hung over the village like a storm ready to break. Charity's fallout intensifies. The aftermath of Charity's revelation rippled across Emmerdale like wildfire. Sarah refused to speak to her. Jacob avoided her gaze, and whispers followed her down every street. Even Ross struggled to keep control of his emotions, torn between loyalty and anger. Charity sat alone in the woolpack late at night, the memory box now empty on the table. She was haunted by every choice she had made. The villagers who had once supported her now looked at her with suspicion, and the realization hit. There was no going back from this. A sudden knock at the door startled her. It was Mac, holding a folder of letters that had been delivered to the pub earlier. "Charity, there's something you need to see," he said. Her hands trembled as she opened it, discovering that her secret had already leaked online. The village, and soon, the world would know. Gabby and Vinnie, marriage on the edge. Gabby stormed into the cafe where Vinnie sat in silence, wrestling with guilt. The counselling sessions had brought some clarity, but now the court proceedings loomed over them like a dark cloud. "I can't do this if there's more you're hiding," Gabby yelled, tears streaming. Vinnie rose slowly, voice trembling. "I've been honest. Every part of me that I can face, I've shown you." Lewis, observing quietly from across the room, tried to explain his side, but Gabby misinterpreted it as betrayal. The tension cracked like a thunderclap. For the viewers, it was a pivotal moment of love and trust, hanging by a thread. April and Dylan, deadly confrontation with Rai Rai's warehouse. Confrontation escalated to the breaking point. April's quick thinking allowed Dylan to wrest the gun from Rai's hand, but not without consequences. A single shot rang out, shattering glass and echoing through the village streets. Rai collapsed, bleeding, and the teens realized they were now fugitives from not just his criminal empire, but the law as well. April and Dylan exchanged a look filled with terror and determination. "We can't go back. Ever," April whispered. The stakes couldn't be higher. Life or death now dictated every decision. Kings vs. Tates. Explosion of conflict. The Kings and Tates feud reached its dramatic peak. Carl and Lucas squared off in the village square, and the argument spiraled into a brawl. Nicola attempted to intervene, but a shocking revelation of an old Tate family secret came to light mid-conflict, igniting outrage. Jimmy and Laurel tried to mediate, but the feud was unstoppable. The police arrived, yet even law enforcement struggled to control the chaos. Every resident was forced to pick sides, and the village hung in tense anticipation of who would survive the confrontation. Cammy and Belle, love's crucible. Cammy and Belle's relationship faced its final test. Standing on the bridge, they argued, tears mixing with rain as the village's chaos raged around them. "I can't handle another secret, Cammy, not now," Belle cried. Cammy grabbed her hands, voice filled with desperation. "We fight together, Belle. That's the only way this works." The tension was palpable, and the audience was left wondering if love could truly survive amidst betrayal, fear, and uncertainty. Final cliffhanger and tease for next episode night settled over Emmerdale, but peace was only an illusion. Charity faced online exposure of her secret, threatening her friendships, marriage, and reputation. Gabby and Vinnie's relationship teetered on collapse as secrets and misunderstandings collided. April and Dylan were now fugitives, forced to outsmart Rai and the authorities. The Kings vs. Tates feud erupted into chaos, with long-buried secrets revealed. Cammy and Belle struggled to hold their fragile love together. From the shadows, a mysterious figure watched the village, hinting at revenge, betrayal, and danger yet to come. Emmerdale would never be the same. Audience engagement prompt. If this ending left you breathless, hit like and subscribe now. You won't want to miss the next episode where Emmerdale's secrets explode even further.